Hey guys, so today is January the 22nd and I thought I would do a video about all of the flowers that I'm not growing this year and give you a brief explanation as to why. And sometimes knowing what not to grow is just as useful as knowing what to grow. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through those, and if I have a picture, I'll put that up. So the first thing I'm not growing this year that I grew last year is bee balm. Or Monarda, I think is the scientific name. So bee balm for me, I didn't like the way that it looked. It's a perennial, so I actually planted it 2024, came up 2025 very vigorously, very good, but I just didn't like the way it looked, and I guess its structure maybe, and to me, the blooms kind of looked bad even though they were perfectly fine. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a flower I would ever put in an arrangement, so I'm not growing it again this year. The next one on the list is borage. And I think out of all the borage seed that I started, only one actually produced anything. And what came up was pretty short and just not usable as a stem. So I decided not to do it again this year. I may try it again in the future when I can dedicate a little bit more space to it and put a whole bunch in there and see how it works out. But for this year, I'm not doing it again. The next on the list is Cerinthe, which I grew kiwi blue. I did not pinch the Cerinthe. I did take a first cutting and then I waited to see if I could get a second cutting off of it, and I couldn't. I just didn't really like it as a filler. It was very weak stemmed and kind of curvy. And it might be good like in an arrangement, but as far as like a market bouquet, I didn't like it. And again, it didn't give me a second bloom, so I don't know if I was growing it wrong or if it doesn't like our climate, but I'm just not gonna. There are things I like better than Cerinthe as a filler, so I'm not gonna worry about growing that again. Next on the list is chives. I tried, it's an allium relative called common chives. And it's supposed to produce like a little purple flower, kind of like an allium does, but on a smaller scale. And I thought it would be super cute to have like miniature allium in an arrangement. However, it did not produce a flower at all the entire year. It gave me plenty of green. There were probably, probably could have used it as a chive, but I was trying to get a flower out of it, and so for that reason I'm not going to do that again. So this is one that I'm kind of on the fence about. It's the dahlias, and I kind of mentioned this in the what I am growing in 2026 video. I am still growing it this year, but it's on the chopping block. I can't get a good number of usable stems out of each dahlia tuber. I can basically get like 1 or 2 cuts and then it's done. And I just can't get the money that I need back from the dahlias. I don't know if it's something that I'm doing or if it's just our area. I've tried all kinds of things with dahlia. I've planted them in raised beds. I've planted them directly in the soil. I planted them in weed cloth. I've planted them out of weed cloth. I've tried all kinds of things. I've tried overwatering, underwatering, and I just can't crack the code on the dahlias. So I'm giving up. It's been about 5 years I've been growing them, which is really sad because they are gorgeous flowers, but I'm just gonna let someone else do that better than I can. Okay, something that I am growing this year, but it's kind of on the fence, is delphinium. I actually started it last year. I didn't get anything usable out of it last year. This year, if it doesn't come up, I'm just gonna quit with delphinium, which again is really sad because it's a beautiful flower. Okay, another one I'm not growing is foxglove. Now, I know how to grow foxglove. I love foxglove. It gives me beautiful flowers. It gives me plenty of stems, but I just don't feel good selling it, and I don't feel good putting it in mixed bouquets because it's so poisonous. So I will actually grow this for me in the future. And if you're curious, in this area, it's best to grow it as a biennial. So you start it in the fall, plant it out before, probably like 6 weeks before your first frost of the year, and then in the next spring to early summer it'll bloom for you. But yeah, I love it. I can't sell it, and so why grow it, Okay, next on this is hyacinth, and I bought this as a bulb from Leo Burby, like I want to say it was like 2022. I put it in the ground fall of 2022. It came up 2023, but it was really short, and it was a really not a beautiful color. It was a pink, but it wasn't like a soft, beautiful pink. So then I said, well, I'm going to give it another year, see if it comes back better. It did not come back better. It came back worse, and so I just am kind of letting that patch go. I think I don't want anything that's going to be high maintenance or that I'm going to have to replace frequently or mess with. So it's not worth it for the height. Hyacinth are very short. I think they can be very beautiful in an arrangement, but probably someone with a tunnel is going to grow it a lot taller than I can get it. Iceland poppy is another one that I am not growing this year at all, even for myself, but I think in the next couple years I will put a patch of these somewhere in my landscaping, because I do love them, but they don't make a good cut flower for me in this area. I have a flower stand that is in the heat and it's not air conditioned, and so those poppies really just don't last long when they're kept in the sun like that. And so I do love them, and if ever I do have like an air-conditioned store on site, I'll probably start using them as a cut flower again, but for now we're just gonna let that one go and just put it in our landscape so I can enjoy it. Lupin is another one that's kind of on the fence. I started it last year. It was similar to Delphinium in that it didn't produce anything usable last year. It did make like one beautiful flower. Each of my plants made a really beautiful flower, and I got really good germination out of the lupin seeds, but I'm just waiting to see if it'll come back this year. If it comes back, I'm going to keep it because it's a perennial anyway. If it doesn't come back, we'll do something else. Okay, so marigolds I'm not growing this year. I may reconsider in the future because honestly they're a really good cut flower. I had a little difficulty with their second cuts coming up, so I still need to kind of work on my understanding of that plant. The reason I'm not growing it this year is because I just needed their space for other things, but also because marigold kind of stinks. I don't know if you know what a marigold smells like, but for me, we also had a problem with deer or something. I don't know if it was rabbits, or we have lots of wildlife out there, but something really liked it and basically chewed it down to the ground. So if ever I grow it again, I have to provide it with a little bit of protection of some kind, like either behind a deer fence or something similar to that. So I don't think I'm going to grow it again unless I can protect it, and it's really not worth it to me to build a deer fence for one crop because I don't have problems with them eating anything else on my property. Mock orange is also kind of on my list to go out if it doesn't perform this year. I bought in mock orange and Weigela at exactly the same time, treated them both the same, watered them the same, fertilized them the same, and the mock orange is just having a really hard time coming back each year. So I've noticed that I don't know if something's eating it or if an animal's going to the bathroom on it, but it's just having a hard time. So I'm going to give up on the mock orange if it doesn't come back this year. All right, oriental poppies. I actually have a patch of oriental poppies that I love, but I just don't see them as being something I can use in a flower arrangement because they're huge, first of all. Secondly, I don't think their shelf life is very good. So I have the patch. I'm just gonna keep the patch, but I probably won't ever harvest any of it for stems for anybody else. I might use it for myself, like in a specialty arrangement. But yeah, I'm gonna give up on that one. Next is stock, is also one that I have grown every year since I've been on the farm. I have tried several different things with stock. The year that it did the best for me is when I planted it under when I planted it under Agribon and then replaced the Agribon with shade cloth once it started getting really hot outside. That's the year it did the best for me. I think my stems were something like 16 inches, which isn't all that fantastic. When you consider that when you buy it in the store, you can probably get it at 24 inches. It was usable that year, but I decided that year that I didn't like the hoops, the low hoops, you know, the tunnel method. I really need a high tunnel if I want to do those crops, because it's just too much work pulling on and off that cover every time you need to water, every time you need to check on things, every time you need to harvest. So having a high tunnel would be much more preferable. So I'm definitely going to grow those again in the future. Just I have to wait until I can get a tunnel on property. Tansy is also something that I won't be growing this year, which is a shame because it's a really cute filler flower. It makes these little yellow button flowers. It grows really well in Missouri. It's a perennial and it grows like a weed. Like, I mean, you could plant one plant and probably get 5 the next year. The reason I'm not growing it, and it gets really, really tall. The reason I'm not growing it is because when I harvest it, it makes me gag. Like, I literally almost throw up every time I go to harvest the tansy. So I love it, and I also hate it. I will also be taking off Alstroemeria, which is really sad because I think it's one of my favorite, all-time favorite cut flowers. It lasts forever in a vase. It's so versatile, it's so beautiful. And I had bought in some really gorgeous varieties that I was very excited about. I just can't get it to come back. The variety I purchased was said to be a perennial. There are many varieties that are not, but the ones I bought were supposed to be perennial. However, it's not. For me, it did not come back the years after. And even during the one season, I would buy it in as an annual, but even during that one season, it never got tall enough to harvest off of. And I think each plant maybe gave me 1 stem total the entire year. So not doing that again. Okay, and I think that's it. That's not too many. I tried to be open-minded about most of the things that I grow on the farm. I try to give it more than 1 year just so that, you know, I'm not influenced by maybe I accidentally put it in the wrong place or watered it too much or it needed more shade, or, you know, I try to give it a couple years before I totally take it off my list. But hopefully that will give you some ideas as to what you want to attempt. I would say if you're a first-time grower, there's just so many other things that work and give you immediate success and provide you with a great experience the first time, like yarrow, sunflower, snapdragon are easy. You know, just so many other things that would do well here, that if you're a first-time grower, I would focus on those, master that, and then move on to something more difficult. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just trying to, and there are some things that in this area you simply cannot grow without a high tunnel or some kind of cover. Now, I am growing ranunculus, those require a tunnel. My sweet pea are kind of on the edge of requiring a tunnel, and so I can still grow those too. They're not the best they could be. They could be a lot better under a tunnel, but the reason I'm keeping those on my list is because I love them. They provide me with a lot of joy and satisfaction in growing them, and I think it's great if you want to baby some things, but if it's not coming back, if it's not providing you with something, either monetarily or, you know, providing something for your soul, then just cut it off your list and get rid of it. Oh, I forgot one more plant I'm not growing this year is flowering tobacco. Okay, so flowering tobacco grows amazing in this area. It loves Missouri. It loves the humidity. It reseeds itself. It gets tall. It provides you with at least 5 stems a plant, I would say, during the season. I, however, am not growing it because the structure of the flower was kind of funky to work with. It didn't look good in a straight bunch, and it didn't look good in a bouquet. And it was also has like a sticky surface. So we have animals around the farm, and there's all kinds of things blowing in the wind, and pretty much anything blowing in the wind, like the hair on my animals gets stuck to the stem. So as you can imagine, that doesn't look good in an arrangement. So that's another one I'm taking off the list. Anyway, hope this helps. Thanks for watching.